Okay, so now when all the windows are open, let me introduce myself. I'm Ekaterina Tolstikh, but you can call me Kate, it's going to be easier. I'm IT recruiter and HR manager of Applied Labs company. Applied Labs company is Tashkent-based branch of New York company. We have our main office in New York, and mainly we work with IT specialists, but I can give you hacks for all the kinds of interview, because I was informed that not only IT specialists are here with us today, so this hacks will work for every possible interview for any position, including marketing, tourism, and whatever you would like to, whatever position you would like to get. So let's start from the very easy question. How long, in your opinion, does the average job interview last? Any ideas?
60 minutes, 1 hour,
5-10 minutes.
15 minutes.
Okay, so average interview lasts for 40 minutes. It means that you have 40 minutes to show all your key skills within this 40 minutes. But before that, coming to the interview, there is a very important moment. I know that you had a workshop with a CV and all that hacks for the CV, but we still receive numbers of CV dailies. On a daily basis, I have to check more than 100 CVs. That's why your CV should be eye-catching. What are the main points of the eye-catching CV? So it should be well crafted. Your name, your contacts, and according to the position, your skills. Guys, please check the position and requirements before the creating CV. You cannot have one CV for all the positions. Let me check and take any managerial position. Let's say you are going to apply for some project manager in every sphere of you have. So I don't talking about IT project manager, any project manager. So if you did have any experience with communication, and if you're working as a waiter, you need to mention that you have communication skills, that you worked with the people. You don't need to put to the skills like I worked for 8 hours as a waiter. No, you need to say that you do have communication skill experience with the people working in a particular place. The same with all the requirements you have for the position. So you don't need to have one CV for all the positions. It should be well structured. Please, I have seen numbers of CV, and when we have used like Microsoft templates or some other templates, it looks weird. For instance, some of the most popular template of Microsoft is a template with a diagram of your hobbies. All the time, I haven't seen, it's true, I haven't seen any of this diagram of hobbies well presented. It's usually like very chaotic. So if you would like to show the interviewer that you do have very interesting hobbies, just make them as the list. Please do not use that colorful templates with a lot of forest diagrams and everything. The easiest your CV is, the easier for the person who check you to check all the points. So it should be bullet points, it should be number of skills. So I have talked about it. So it should be clear and professional format. It should be tailored of CV, and it shouldn't be too long, not more than 2 pages. But now I believe you don't have much commercial experience, so it should be 1 page, very concise, very laconic, with skills, with if you did have some experience, with experience and like description of your experience. If you work somewhere, what did you do and what tools did you use? That's all. No lyrics in CV, please. So now we are going to the main theme of our meeting today, how to prepare for the interview. You should be prepared for the interview. Interviewers are prepared for your interview based on your CV. You should be prepared for the interview based on your CV. When we can start as an interviewer, we can start from any part of your CV. So you shouldn't return to your page on the Zoom call or on your on-site CV and say, oh, sorry, wait, what was the company? You should remember the order of all the companies you mentioned in the CV. You should be sure in every experience you mention, and you should be able to discuss all the point of it. So first of all, apart from the CV and acknowledgement of your CV, you should be researching the company and the position. Sometimes we receive lots of unrelevant CVs because only manager part is inside. So you need to check all the requirements and check the company main idea. Sometimes due to some ethical or religious reasons, people can't work with a particular company. Perhaps that's alcohol shop, e-commerce alcohol shop. For instance, due to some ethical or some other reasons, people can't work creating this e-commerce web shop related to banking, to alcohol, or to something like that. So before the application, you should check what is the main business of the company, and are you ready to work with this company? And you should practicing responses to common interview questions. You're at the very beginning of your way, and the main hack, the more interview you have, the more experience you get. Some questions will seem to you quite weird, but be sure they're not asking just for a joke or for some sarcastic reasons. Some questions are asked just because check your reactions for that weird and really strange questions. So practice makes perfect. If you didn't pass number of interviews, maybe the 10 was failed, but maybe 11th would be successful. So the more interviews you have, the more position you're applying for, the more results you would have. So generally, all the interview questions are divided into 3 main groups. So the first one is the behavioral questions. The second is situational, and the third is competency-based question. We are not going to discuss competency-based questions because they are different for every position you will have. And competitive-based questions usually are about your particular skills in the profession. But behavioral and situational questions are usually same for all the positions. What's the main difference between behavioral and situational questions? Behavioral questions are about your previous behavior in concrete situation. You can be asked like, tell me about time when you had to resolve a conflict with a coworker. For you it can be a conflict with your group mate or something like that. And situational questions, the question is about what if. They're just like potential, hypothetical situation, and in that cases, in that questions, all the recruiters, they would like you to think logically and to understand the whole situation. So that's the main difference. So as you could see, behavioral, it's tell me about your previous experience, and situational, it's about what would you do if, and after the if, it can be any possible situation. So we have strategies for handling behavioral question, and the main strategy is a STAR: situation, task, action, result. So you should be able to structure your answer to behavioral question based on this strategy. So situation, you should shortly discuss the situation, then you should discuss the task, your action, and show the result. It's very important to be very detailed, but not to be out of topic. You shouldn't tell the recruiter or interviewer that, oh, it was so difficult for me to find a solution, it took me 10 days, and after, no, you say, I had that situation, that was a task, I acted this way, and that was the result. If your result related to any numbers, please use the numbers. For instance, you increase the sale for 30%. Just use it 30% as your key result for this situation. So STAR is your solution for answering behavioral question. Be specific but not specific about your feelings. It's not a psychologist sense. It's more about specification of your previous experience. Guys, I understand you don't. Some of you have practical experience. Some others are going to start with a new position. So if you didn't have commercial experience with that situation, you can use any experience from your study. It can be some deadlines with your assignments, it can be some group tasks, it can be some relations with your group mates, it can be some relations with your teachers. All of us, I was a student, you're a student, so all of us had numbers of problems while we were students. You needed to deal with some teachers, you needed to deal with some group mates, with some assignments, so just be creative. Try to find the right case in your whole life experience. So you need to highlight your achievements and please be honest. It's the most important thing, because in the most cases the recruiter and interviewer understands that it's something wrong with this. When you started, when I was 5 years old, I knew English very well, but then I forgot it. So it's fairy tales, they do not work. Just be honest and authentic. Stay focused. If I have already told you, don't go with your thoughts about something just a straight road, and use active listening. Please, if you do not understand the question of the interviewer, just ask again. We are happy to answer and we are happy to repeat, because sometimes we understand that the person didn't understand us and he's the one started to answer, and we understand that it's out of topic totally, but the person didn't re-ask, and he could, but he didn't, and in that case it's a miss for him. So let's move to situational question. For situational question, it's very important to understand the question. So if you have any doubts of the question, any small doubt, just make sure you get all the details. You have that question, what would you do if, and you understand that, okay, I do not get inside, so please ask again or add some of your details of your understanding. So use logical approach. It's very, very important to see how logical you are. So if you start think logically and answer step by step to the recruiter, he will understand that it's possible for you to think logically in a new situation for you. So we have that situational question to understand your ability to act in a new situation, in a new task. So if you think logically and show that you can think logically, it's a key to success, believe me. So the next is provide a context. So when you start answering logically step by step, you should add the content. So I am thinking that way, cause, and all that further situation and the content of that. Be flexible. What do I mean by be flexible? For instance, you have a question, what would you do if you are out of a deadline? And you start logically. You said, okay, if I'm out of deadline, I would check where there was a position, where was a miss, why we had done that. And then the recruiter says, okay, that the deadline wasn't met due to your coworker, what would you do? And if you've said, oh, I would tell all the fault on mine, it's my fault, and that's way, in that case, you would need to be flexible and you need to change your mind in case of the situation. I mean, you should say, okay, it's a fault of the team, but let me check with my co-workers what was the reason. That would be the correct answer, because you should be flexible. There is no situation in the real positions when you are like stressed this way, and all of us are people, and it could be some illness of your co-worker, and it will change situation fully. So stay positive. Sometimes it's going to be a stress test for you. I'm not sure. It's like a milestone for you, because I don't think that employees would arrange any stress test for last year students. But sometimes for the people who have some commercial experience, there is a stress test. Is there any developers or software engineers? Hi, nice to meet you. Sometimes during the interviews for the development part, it's not like a situational question, it's a real code. We're just sending the code, it's a live coding, and you need to find the bugs during the interview. And remember, you have only 40 minutes, and about 15 minutes was for hi, my name is, and all this introductional part. So be positive all the time. Sometimes for other position, like apart from engineering, you can arrange like a stress test, like your managerial position, and in front of it doesn't matter online, offline, in front of your screen you can see when recruiters like open his smartphone, he's sitting in his smartphone, he's talking to someone, he say, okay, sorry, and starts talking to someone came into the room. And you see that you're out of all of that, and in that situation, you need to stay positive. You need to say, hey guys, I'm here. Is everything okay? Have we finished? Everything will return to its flow, because it was another checking of your ability to communicate and your ability to wait for pauses. So stay positive all the time and be concise. Please, all the details in a short way. You have 40 minutes, maybe 1 hour, and of course self-presentation for all the interviews are still very important. It's very important, not when, okay, let's start with that. Could you please handle the hands who have already been to the interview? Cool. And did you have a question? Tell me about yourself. Yeah. Okay, who would like to tell me about himself, herself? No? Okay, so tell me about yourself. That doesn't matter.
I'm a developer passionate about websites, so while singing songs in a beatbox, and also while giving my clients like desired high quality products, websites, in my free time, I dig in the garden and nourish flowers.
Cool answer. By the way, it wasn't started with hello, my name is. I hate this approach, to be honest, because I do have your CV. What for I need your name? We have started with hello, I am Kate, and hello with the name of the person whom CV I do have. So when someone tells you, please tell me about yourself, just tell them who you are as a professional. So, what is your name? Sorry. So Hoji Akbar started with I'm developer. That's the main point. You should start with your professional, with your interest, but not with I'm Kate, I'm 32, I have been studying, blah blah blah. So please don't do that. Start with a very interesting and catchy moments, and a dig in the garden is a very, very good approach, because I would remember some recruiters have more than like 10 interviews a day. 10 to 15, and you can imagine that to be honest, all the faces comes to one at the end of the day. But when I could see something like digging, garden, or some catching moments, I would remember this person. In addition to his professional skills, I would remember who is it. And it's very important. Just add some catching moments or some catching hobbies to your self-presentation. So we have difficult questions. Out of other types, difficult questions, and in that moment when you got a difficult question, it can be behavioral, it can be situational, it can be professional questions, but difficult. Let's call them difficult. It's we have some strategies for them. First of all, you should take your time. If you understand that you do not have any idea how to answer, just take your time. You can ask your interviewer, just give you a second for some thinking. So it's better to think rather than give some wrong or weird answer. You should ask you should ask to repeat the question and listen to it carefully if you didn't understand it or if it's difficult for you. Try to rephrase it. Try to rephrase it this way that would help you to answer it. So you have a difficult question, and on that question which was phrased by the interviewer, you cannot answer. But you do have small knowledge for other questions related to that. So you can rephrase the question and say, isn't it? And the person said, okay, let's answer that way, and we will return to the difficult one. And you will win some time for you. Ideas will come. So again, the clarification and very important moment, if you don't know, and if all this rephrasement, and if all this timing, all this re-asking, if all of that do not work for you, just say, I don't know. It would be better rather than any fairy tales from your side. So it's fine to say, I don't know. It will show you as an honest and respectful person. You shouldn't be defensive, just be kind, be positive again, and if you do not know, you shouldn't tell that, oh, you shouldn't ask me for that, oh, why you had that kind of questions, I didn't prepare, or something like that. You should say, okay, I don't know. May I write down this question and I will tell you later, or if you get me a second chance, I will return with the answers. Or you can say, okay, I will gain this. I'm like fast learner, and if I get the position, I will get all this information quite fast. And again, it's very important during the difficult question to stay on topic. So stay on topic, it means that you are still on the road, you are still with the interviewer, you're still on the scene, but even if you don't know, you can ask. Sometimes interviewer can answer the question and get you new information for the next one, because the questions can be repeated. Now I have prepared the most popular behavioral questions, and if you don't mind, I'm going to ask these questions. I have prepared them for the students, they're like adaptive. So if you don't mind, I'm ready to listen to your answers and make the comments. So what do you think? Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, so let's start with the behavioral one. Who would be the first? Haji Akbar, I was sure. So, can you tell me about the challenge you faced while completing a project or assignment in school, university, wherever you would like to, and how did you overcome it?
Well, on group assignment on augmented reality. So there were 4 people, and 3 of us had completed our part, and 1 guy left. So I was the leader of this group. So I just thought like, I didn't want this person not to get marks, leave him. So I tried to persuade him to do that at least little portion of our presentation. So we kind of group worked.
Got it. Okay, it's a great, it's a good answer. I would make some comments. First of all, it was a challenge, and one of your group mates like left the group, and some others should made more, right? So. First of all, you have said that it's a challenge and you made some actions. That's good. You have mentioned that you didn't mention the result, so you should mention the result. So it's very important to say that I understood from the context that finally the assignment was done by that group, but it was top, but like in your speech it was like we did it, but what was the result? You didn't mention it. So result of any behavioral question is very important. Let's move to the next one. Some of you would you like to answer, or we can just skip it?
Answer would be like really good example.
Yeah, I know. So if I wouldn't be like push you to answer them, so I think that it could be your wish and it's up to you answer or not. So if you're ready, just hand in a hand and I'm going to comment your answer to this question.
For example, I can.
Okay, sure.
Yes, I have a project at my workplace. So for the first time, they give me to develop, to write the code, and also to manage the other developers. So that I took this how to say I took this opportunity, for example, and then I have I created a task and say that for example, you will do this, you will do this, you will do this, and then in addition to my work, I also had to control the completion of these tasks. So it was a really good, how to say, good experience, and I learned a lot from that, from my, for my professional experience.
Great. And what about result?
The project was done successfully. And
okay. So it's in production.
Yes.
Okay, great. So the answer here is very good. The only thing again is the result. So you managed. You acted as like a project manager actually. Something like a team leader, and the result of this action was a production.
Yes.
In a development, production is the most important part. So yes. The third question is, can you describe a time when you had to be adaptable or flexible to meet a deadline or complete a project? Guys, I'm sure all of you had a deadline, so please don't hesitate. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Salandar. So actually I have a job and I have studies, but except from that, with three of my friends, we decided to participate in a hackathon organized in our course. So turns out that usually when students come to hackathon, we were new. We never reached this kind of challenges before. We were totally new. I was a team leader. We had a software developer, the great designer, but we didn't have any idea. So we just came to the hackathon and realized that everyone else, like 130 other teams, they already have the idea what to do and they already jump-started something. But we didn't have anything. So we had only 3 days to outcome, less than 3 days, like 72 hours. And so we didn't sleep. Someone already went to house. We stayed in the campus, and my developer, a friend, never slept. He fully created the project, and it was actually proof that we can develop a whole working project within 3 days. And it was also mentioned in several communities. My friend created a great design, and I came up with ideology, the presentation, and out of our outcome, we won the third prize out of 130 teams.
Wow.
That was great.
Samantha, it was a brilliant answer. Actually, it was a brilliant answer, guys, because first of all, I do not have your CVs here, and I don't know your names. So Samandar was the first who told me his name. It was perfect. The second thing is he has like very structured speech. He started with the very beginning. They decided to be in a hackathon. He described the whole situation without any word. They didn't have any idea. They had lack of time, and they made it, and he came to result. So this is a brilliant speech for the interview when someone asks you for something. So thank you, Samandar.
Yeah, we had good teachers in foundation who told us storytelling.
Oh, thanks to your teachers, because it's a good example of a good answer. For instance, may I take your example, please? So sometimes as I have told you, averagely it's 40 minutes, but I did have interview for 2 hours. Because it was very interesting for me to understand what was the person is, and his presentation skills was brilliant, and he wanted to tell me more about his projects, and we discussed every project. But sometimes when we do not have recruiters, we do not have enough time, after one of these answers we will stop further of the behavioral situational one, because this one answer shows us that the person has good communicative skills, that the person has good presentation skills, that person can handle with the deadlines, that person can work in a team, that person can do the job with the limits of time. So we will stop and we will save time for both sides, for you and for us. Again, on the very beginning, you will need to have more and more interviews. So just count 40 minutes one. What about 10? So it's lots of your time. So just be concise and just be laconic and give all the information in a structured way. Thank you so much. So the last one, can you tell me about the time when you received feedback on your work or performance, and how did you respond to that feedback? I especially didn't mention was it positive or negative. Any feedback. I'm sure you did receive lots of feedbacks for your assignment. So, okay.
My name is Rahira, and I studied tourism. So I had a work of bringing a group of students to Bukhara and back to Tashkent. And our kind of performance was shown in a hotel while staying. So my work was to keep the rooms in a good way. But when we came back to Tashkent, I got a feedback from the hotel owner that one room was in an awful look, let's say, because bad, the bottles of alcohol, and everything was in garbage. So I got a very bad feedback from the hotel, which was very friendly for me and had a very good work with me. So I made a response, so like maybe I could fund it, or maybe we could work on it, or do something to retain the damage. But they said no, thank you. But next time we will not work with you in a friendly way like we did last time. So my feedback was, it was a first bad feedback from the hotel and in my work experience for now.
Okay, got it. So the answer was good because you had a case. You explained me what was the reason. Maybe you should add something like why it happened with you, because I understand that you checked all the numbers. Maybe it was some other, all the rooms, I mean. So if you get some personal touches that like, oh, I've checked everything, and to be honest, maybe it was not like it can be from every like view of it.
Private thing.
Yeah, so it was a private thing. So you need to describe why it has happened, and what conclusions did you have. So, for instance, you have mentioned that,
With,
yes, you have mentioned that the hotel wouldn't work with you with a friendly way, but your conclusions, your decision for yourself, so your decision. So I got a negative feedback, but in the future I will do the next step. It will show you as a person who can evaluate or estimate all that mistakes. Mistakes are good. All of us make mistakes. So mistakes are not a problem. The main problem is when you're making one mistake one by one, time by time, every single mistake every time. So got it. So I hope you did get an idea how you should answer to behavioral questions. So behavioral questions are for the estimation of your behavior in a particular situation you did have. So, and situational is actually the most favorite questions for me. One of our companies, they did have a question, just tell me how many fuel stations are there in the United States. And you cannot come to this amount if you don't know it. It's not about the knowledge, it's about the logic. So you should think, the answer for this question is to tell the number of states. Everyone knows number of the United States, so how many of them. So then you need to come to the average population of every state, then you need to come to the, in your opinion, how many cars has every family, and that shows just logic, no any information. So that's the question, that question usually shows how can you think logically, and the position can be, situational questions, they can be asked for any position irrelated from, it's about the fuel station, it wasn't for any gas position, like gas manager or something like that. It was for position of, it was for the IT support, for instance, because we need to understand that logical way of thinking. So, let's start with the situational questions and my comments. I understand, guys, it's very hot here. I'm hot also, so I'm trying to be as fast as I can. So, if you were given a group project at university and one of your group members wasn't contributing, so it's not a situational question for you, it's a like behavioral question for you, how would you handle the situation? So the question is about, you had a project, one of the member isn't there, so what would you do? Any answers?
Imagine a situation.
Imagine
a situation you are in a boat. If boat sinks, everyone will sink. So I will give the tasks to each person, and I will leave the person who is not contributing to the project. And the task will be divided by second time.
Cool. Actually, situational questions, they don't have correct answers. Situational question, again, is about logic, and some logic will match the position, some other logic will not. So there is no any right answer for the situational questions. So some positions they need very patient and very concentrative person, and if on this one of the situational question, if the person tells us, oh, I'm too chaotic to stay on the table for like, I don't know, for 5 hours, we should understand that, okay guys, it wouldn't work. For you, you should understand, it's like a hack, and maybe it's obviously, but as I could see from my practice, not many people understand that some questions are related to the position, and if you check the position and if you prepare for the interview, there is an answer which is socially evaded. So when you're applying for position which is requiring some special skills, you need to make this answer very close to the requirements. But again, if you should understand that this position is forever. It's not like just for a ticking in your list and say, okay, I got the position. You should use this skill which is checked by these questions on a daily basis. So if you lie and if you can just make your truth close to this question. But if you lie and you do not have that requirement and you do not have that skill, you need to have the skill in the future and work on yourself, or you would be hired. Because remember, all the positions have a probation period. But please make sure you understand that situational questions are about your logic and are about your understanding the whole situation. Okay, so I think that we can finish with all that question, unless you would like to answer. But as I could see now, we have been very active with the behavioral question, and situational are kind of boring for you. So let's move to the question side. So if you do have any questions to me related to any parts of the hiring process, you are more than welcome to ask. We have like 10 minutes in this hot room.
I have a question.
Okay.
For example, if I work in your company, and is there any opportunity to relocate to the United States?
Actually, yes, but it depends on the whole position. We do have a couple of guys from Uzbekistan who were relocated to the United States, but firstly they have been working with us for 2 years. Their performance reviews were brilliant, and in the end the company, so Apply Labs is outstaffing company. Let me explain you what is outstaffing. Outstaffing is not outsourcing. Outsourcing, and it's when you take the project, you make all that task and then you return the project. In our case, in this outstaffing, we provide the companies with people. So we hire people here in Uzbekistan and they work for, we have our office, we hire officially, but then in the end you will work with a company in the United States. And if you show brilliant result for a particular amount of time, the company can be interested in you, and in that case, in you and not in Uzbekistan. In that case, all the documents are going to be prepared, and you will have a job, you will have a work visa, and we are going to take care of it. But everything depends on your result.
So the company will help.
The company will help. Both companies, not only the company which is here in Tashkent, the second company you work for, they will help also. We don't have a kind of cases for that. Any other questions? Okay. Who is the first? Okay.
What if we little bit not meet requirements, but we have like all the other skills?
Okay. Everything depends on the company, and it's not related to IT only. Some companies, they do have space for, let's call interns positions, and you can be taken as an intern. For the first position, it's very important to choose the one with maybe it would be less salary but more experience. Sometimes, for instance, sometimes you need to be a part of something big to get an experience. You can come not like, I understand that in many cases after the university, after the graduation, you can be a really good specialist in some spheres, but practical commercial experience is very important. So for instance, you can be interns somewhere. If we're talking to tourism, you can be like maybe if it's a hotel, you can be on a night shift or reception of the hotel to be a hotel manager, because you need to understand from the very beginning how everything works. For the developers, you can be intern. You can work without any salary for some time. You can participate in some competitions just to show the result. And again, for the developers, the GitHub is very important, because we need to see your code, we need to see your activities and everything. For the managers and managerial position, or for commercial or marketing, you can be assistant of some specialists. I could see, for instance, Afisha Media here in Uzbekistan. They usually search for some assistants, and I understand that the salary is really low. But it's a way to get your first year of experience. Then you can move forward to the biggest salaries. You're young enough. No, I believe not all of you have families. I mean, children, wife, husbands. For husbands, it's easier. Girls, we're on the top because sometimes we can just work and our husband will take care of that whole income of the family. For the guys, it's more difficult. Unless you don't have your families yet, you can just work for experience but not for money. So start with the experience, then move to money. 1 year of experience here, I mean in every sphere, will get you more profits for the next position where you can you will have less experience. And please, if you have at least 1 year of experience and in the position you can see 2-3 years, don't hesitate to apply if you meet all other requirements. Because sometimes it works for the specialists when they have less than 2 years of experience, but all other skills are brilliant, and you will ask for lower salary than the person with the 3 years of experience. We can make a choice to you because of your personal skills, because of your less experience, and your wish, and if we can see that you're eager to learn something. So I think that you don't like points. First of all, you do not hesitate, work for experience, and that will bring you to a success, I'm sure. So your question is?
I was asking, like, you said you should mention hobbies in CV. Like, is it compulsory to mention hobbies?
No, it's just about general idea, because I wouldn't to be offensive to you, but most of the students, I don't understand why they use these diagrams of the templates of the what's the word, maybe a Microsoft template with the hobbies diagrams, and it looks weird for me because it's football there, like reading, like something, and I don't understand why it's diagram, because it shouldn't be a diagram. It should be a list of the hobbies and diagrams according to the time. So 40% of my time is working, 15 is football. How did you count that? Really? Did you write down all the hours for the football? Really? So I think that if you would like to mention hobbies, just put it in the list. But hobbies are not obligatory. The main points of your CV: your name, your contacts, telephone, telegram, and email. Your experience. If you don't have an experience, your skills. And your like awards, your certificates, but please in normal manner. What do I mean by normal manner? Don't make the list of certification one by one, like IELTS, TOEFL, something. Sometimes it's like a long list, and you don't understand what's about. Just make some description, like a number of letters and nothing, and we don't understand what's about. So please make that number of letters and short description, like certification for, I don't know, tourism management or something. Please understand that all of us are human, and we don't see you, we haven't talked to you. We need to understand what person you are. That's the main idea of your CV. We need to understand your skills, your feedbacks, and all the picture. And after that, we are going to call you, and during the interview, again, it's up to you to show you as a good specialist, as a good human being, as a person who wants to work with us. That's all. It's not difficult, because sometimes people think that recruiters and HR managers, they are just for asking the question to lay you down, just to say no to you. Guys, we are searching for people, and we are interested in closing every position fast. We do not have aim to say no to you. We say no to you based on number of questions, as you could see. We have number of questions to understand how good you are. Our aim to understand how good you are and not how bad you are. So please show us your best skills, and we will know during the work with you how bad you are. No problems.
Excuse me.
So I'm sorry.
Yes. Are there any questions which we are allowed not to answer? Like if the HR managers who are too, questioning you too privately. For example, I used to get a question like, "Are you going to marry someone who is in this business?" I'm like, what? Yeah, like this.
Okay, first of all, it's a red flag. For me, it's a red flag. Okay, not all HR managers and recruiters are good in their business. Sorry for that, but all of us are humans. And if you have that kind of questions, it should be a red flag for you. It doesn't relate to your professional skills anyhow.
And how should I answer it?
You should answer that you haven't heard about your marriage yet. Unfortunately, in our country, we do have lots of questions about the marriage, because you should understand that the marriage for a woman is a children is like maternity leave is a new person in the company. But we do have our labor law, and according to labor law, you can get married, you can get your children, and you cannot answer this question. You can say, okay, I don't have any plans for marriage yet, but I'm planning to work. So, because in most cases, women here they considered like, okay, she will work with us for 3 months, and then she will leave for her maternity leave. But you should, if you had this question, if you would like to have this work, you should open your cards and say, okay, guys, I'm a woman, but I'm not going to make these steps in my nearest future unless you would like to have. But please be with the open cards, and all the personal questions can be avoided. No one can ask you why you're wearing scarf, for instance. No one can ask you, because it's a personal question. No one can ask you about they can ask you for a schedule of your day if you have children. For instance, it's very important to understand when you're going to leave the office, because all the children, they go to the kindergartens and schools, and they need to understand who will pick up the children. And for some positions, it's critical to find the person who will be in the office from 9 to 10. But again, if it doesn't work for you, it's usually it's on both sides. You have your conditions for the work, and it's very important for you to be at your school. I don't know, of a school of your child at 6. In that case, you can find the work which will last till 5. It's your choice. But the personal questions, guys, sometimes you can say that I would not answer that. All the questions related to the personal part of your life. So you had a question.
Yes, you said that GitHub is important, so you should see my code. But during 4 years, I made only the projects, so they are enterprise projects. So I'm not allowed to show the code.
So NDA,
Huh?
NDA. You are under NDA, non-disclosure agreement.
Yes.
I didn't understand what.
Okay, so we have non-disclosure agreement. It's when you create a code and you can't show it to anyone.
Yes. That's it. So what should I show to?
Okay, in that case, if we can see all your experience, and if we can see you have passed a technical interview and you have passed everything, and you can say that it's a non-disclosure agreement, so you cannot show us the code, but we can give you a task. So every time, again, guys, the recruiter is interested in you. If you were called to the interview, it means that you're a potential candidate for the position. So please do not hesitate, just show your skill to the person, and just remember that all of us are human, and all of us have our powerful skills and like weak sides of us. So just do not hesitate, send your CVs. The more interviews you have, the more success you will get. Thank you for your attention. Thank you so much. So if you don't have any questions, we have this hour done, and I hope you will have some fresh air outside of the room.